So the spring meeting is over in Washington, but of course, a lot of things came up from there, apart from the almighty trade war and the impact or potential impact it could have in global economy. One of it is the World Bank revealed that Nigeria is housing 19% of the extremely poor in sub-Saharan Africa. Now, that is a worrying one. We've seen a lot of policies, obviously, social interventions by the government that is supposed to douse some of the impacts and consequences of the reforms, which has driven more Nigerians into the poor and even extremely poor brackets. Well, let's find out if there's something we can do more. Perhaps the government is missing with Dr. Iwoha Akpera. He's a former country director, Give Directly Nigeria, joins us virtually now to discuss this. Dr. Akpera, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Benita. Thanks for having me.
Great. So we saw this disturbing number. I know that Nigeria, of course, we've been part of the poor and extremely poor and, you know, multi-dimensionally poor and all of that. But having this number at 19% of extremely poor in sub-Saharan Africa live in Nigeria, that is also another level of worry for us.
Yes, it is. And the numbers are growing and will continue to grow as we continue to have some of these challenges. I mean, the challenge of climate change compounded by armed conflicts and other economic shocks will continue to grow these numbers. Nigeria, if we would like to unpack the 19% figure, you would look at some of the stats that are showing in terms of poverty in Nigeria. So 47% below the poverty line. That's nearly half the population of Nigeria. If we look at it from the point of view that we're about 230 million, so up to 47% will mean 108 million people below the poverty line. And when you look at multidimensional poverty, 133 million are multidimensionally poor. That means they are challenged. In addition to 108 million, the additional 27 or 27 million are challenged by several deprivations across health, education, and livelihood. So we are in a dire situation. I think it's time for Mr. President to declare a state of emergency on poverty in Nigeria, if there's any term like that.
Yeah, well, we had a declaration of on food insecurity. I don't know how much results we've seen, but we've seen efforts, we've had policies, and we've seen numbers, of the government trying to bridge this gap between the rich and the poor and the extremely poor. What would you say is the ingredient that is being missed, which seems to deter the impact that we're looking for in the country?
I think there is a combination of so many factors. I think the collapse of the local government structures could be perhaps one of the major challenges. Now, you could look at other gaps in terms of economic development or diversification, over reliance on oil, insecurity, etc. But you go back to the fact that one, we have decaying structures and systems that are not fixed. And two, we're not either leveraging or taking advantage of so many other factors like demographic dividends. We have a huge young population that is nearly wasting away and ready guns for insurgents and kidnappers and etc. and raising crime rates. So the combination of a lot of factors. Now, government in the past and even currently has been taking various steps to addressing these gaps. The challenge is in implementation, how effective has been some of these programs, how much of it has we interpreted into real results is the a huge concern and can account or accounts for the gaps that we have.
So when we talk about implementation, I wonder what we can do differently because, I mean, it's still human beings represented in government that will have to implement the beautifully crafted policies. So what can we do differently? What's the hope here?
The hope lies with us as Nigerians. I mean, we're very intelligent. Nigeria ranks amongst the most intelligent people in the world. So it's not a lack of um, capacity. It's probably we need to up our game in terms of patriotism. We need to up our games in terms of um, supervision and guidance. For instance, the federal government shouldn't, in actual sense, be implementing programs at the local government level. They should stick to policy and provide the needed quality assurance and oversight on the state governments to be able to supervise and ensure that the local governments do well. So fixing the systems and the structures could help in addressing these gaps. And then we as Nigerians, we really need to perhaps increase our sense of patriotism to these issues. Because if you look at some of the problems, really, they are generated by us. The government, the president, in his wisdom, has pushed for local government autonomy. Uh, Money should be sent directly to the local government. Why are the state governors standing in the place and ensuring that this doesn't happen? You wonder. I mean, even if you want, there are so many issues that are challenging us about that, but I think most importantly, we need to enhance our sense of patriotism and ensure that what is this for the people gets to the people. Then we'll be getting it right.
Yeah, so I hear you imply the issue of transparency in the system, what is meant for the people to get to the people, and then on the other side, the patriotism that we need from the followers. But of course, the followers will say, why do you expect us to be patriotic when we're not even getting what we're supposed to get? So I wonder where these corrections should start from.
It's a two-way traffic, right? You would expect the leaders to be transparent, accountable. You expect the leaders to uh, ensure strict adherence to um, programs, policies. You expect them to ensure equity and fairness in the discharge of their responsibilities. But then from the followers, you also expect them to be honest, to uh, also not mount pressure on leadership in a way that would push them towards not ensuring that the right thing is done. So it's a two-way thing. But most importantly, is fixing the systems. If you strengthen the system and the structures that are there, then the right thing will happen. If you ensure that, for instance, uh, you're bringing up social protection programs like cash transfer, and you're ensuring that strictly the criteria is mining from the social register. Then you go back and ensure that the social register itself is accurate, for instance. The cash will always get to the people. Now, if you then create accountability structures from the community in a way that the community has a voice to say what is happening in the community, and you're taking it into account to improve the program, then it will all come together. But if we sit back to always blame leadership or blame the president or any other leader that is not doing it right, and then in our own little spaces, we are also not uh, doing the right thing, you will never get it right. It will continue to be the way it is, and perhaps no solution.
Yeah, it does sound like a complicated circle, Dr. Wakwa. And I mean,
You're right.
how do you see this happening in anytime soon in this country? Whether it's from
Yes, that's
the
it.
followers or from the leaders. I mean, because we know these things, we talk about these things, we've been talking about it for years. We see the programs, we applaud the policies, but it's still back to the same circle or cycle at the end of the day.
I see it happening. Nigerians, we are very resilient. We are a people who, if we turn our attention to fixing anything, we do it and we do it right. I mean, look at us in the entertainment industry. Look at us in technology elsewhere in the world. When Nigerians will put our heart to do it, so I see it happening really. I see we getting to a point where we'll say enough is enough and we will turn things around. I see where the opportunities are given to the right people in terms of capacity and positioning people who have the knowledge and the capacity to do it. Um, and it will start with just one sector. You just start with one sector and then you will see the ripple effect. Because the one thing again with Nigerians is we like to say we are always the best. We are very competitive amongst ourselves. So one person starts it right and the other says he wants to replicate the same thing. I do go on and like that, and the ripple effect will be fed by all. So I see it happening, and I see it happening in our generation. We're raising a group of young men and women now who are saying it's enough, it's enough. And I just saw your clip with women in technology who are saying, look, give us a chance. And they're also proving it. So it starts like that and it will roll over. So I see it happening. I see it happening in our generation as well.
Interesting, and I do pray that. But what about the role of the government in accelerating this? I mean, that could also be very effective.
Yeah, the government's first, we need to define whose responsibility, the responsibility lines, right? The federal government needs to be bold and take and show leadership and say, this is our remit as federal government. In a federation like Nigeria, define your role, stick to it. Define the roles of the state and make them stick to it. And then define the role of local governments and let the local governments also do their jobs. Where you have a collapse of systems and we politicize everything, then it leads us to this, right? So the federal government decides that he wants to strengthen health systems, for instance, and it goes to the local government and is building primary health care clinics. That's not your role. You shouldn't be doing that. When you begin to have the federal government go to the local government to build primary health care centers, for instance, it shows a huge collapse and a disconnect. Why are you not making the state government ensure that the local governments are building these clinics and responsible for it, for instance? That's an example. So we have, we have this thing about Nigerian and Nigerian, if it is not me, then it's not right, you know. But trust, delegate, ensure that it is done. So the federal government allocates resources, formulate policies and guidelines, ensure that the state government where the implementation is domiciled is done by the state government, and the state government is also ensuring that the right people are doing this job. So you give the local government, strengthen the local government system. Now, when we're young and growing up, in the agriculture sector, for instance, we had area development offices all across our political wards who were responsible for supporting agriculture in our villages. These development offices we have tractors, we have farming pews, we have fertilizers, etc. They also had consumer boards who are uptakers of produce. That has collapsed. Why are we not strengthening that? Why are we not reviving it? So you see, it is first strengthen governance and ensure that everybody is doing the right thing. Do the right thing in your space, trusting that the next person is doing the right thing as well. Even if the person is not doing, then the gap is clear and you can fix it. But where there are overlaps of responsibilities, overlaps of duties, then you have this. You have people running everywhere. You have agencies being created with are counterproductive to ministries. You have governments who are overlapping in functions because we, as we say, our politicians, we need to be seen directly by the people doing the work that we're doing. You have the House of the legislators leaving legislative functions to go and do what they call community projects or constituency projects, which is not their job. Why would you have a senator go to construct a road, for instance, that he wants to bring the dividends of democracy to his people? He's not bringing dividends of democracy to his people. He just wants to be seen as doing something for the people for next elections. Why is the local government not doing it? So this overlap of functions for personal gains is also causing us a lot of problems. So we need to take a step back, strengthen our governance systems and structures, and ensure that those who are responsible are doing the right thing. Then
I mean,
ensure that it fixes your people. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, well, strengthen the governance structure, I guess the followers too. Thank you so much, Dr. Iwakwa Akpera, a former country director of Give Directly Nigeria. Thank you so much for your time and your views.
Thank you so much.